getting ready for Shabbat and sharing some inspirational ideas on this week's Torah portion. There's no question that there's been a big tumult over the last week dealing with anti-Semitism in this country. There's no question that there have been so many Jews who are living in fear. I've been getting questions every day about, do I wear my Star of David? Do I take off my kippah? How do I keep myself safe? How far do I have to go? And I think that so much of, as always, so much of what we see happening in our work week is often very much reflected in the Torah reading itself. The answers to the questions are found here. We start with the reading of Parshat Bahaalotecha, a parsha that deals with, begins with the kindling of the menorah in the tabernacle. Now, Aaron is asked to kindle the lights of the menorah, but the term Bahaalotecha is very unusual. Bahaalotecha literally means when you elevate. Bahaalotecha, when you elevate the candles, what? It should write lahadlik, which literally means to light, to kindle, right? So, and that's the word we use, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Those are the same words we use to light the candles of Shabbat. Why are we using the term Bahaalotecha in this week's parsha? Why that? Why that word to describe lighting? Why are we using the word to uplift and not light? And I believe, as always, there's always a profound teaching in every single nuance of the Torah itself. The menorah is symbolic of Torah. And therefore, Torah is something that we have to, at all times, be aware that we need to be studying it, we need to be developing it, we need to understand it, we need to undertake it and study it again. We got to observe the mitzvot. It's not like another life. It's not just another lifestyle, but it is the essence, the core of everything about our lives, the very fiber of our being through which we are elevated and realize our purpose in life. Therefore, the word that is used is Bahaalotecha, elevating rather than kindling. But there's another teaching found in the menorah. And this is a verse that is found in the book of Proverbs, the book of King Solomon's book of Proverbs. And he says over there, Ki nishmat adam ner Hashem, because the soul of man is a candle of God, buried deep in the crevices of man, buried deep. Sorry about that. My wife is calling as I'm talking, of course, and everything gets paused when she does, because she's like on my favorites, and she's my favorite. She's like the top of my favorite list. And so if you're on my favorite list, if you call me, even though it says do not disturb, it still disturbs me. But she's not disturbing me. I wish it would say something else, but I can't change that message. So it says like this. It says there's another teaching, right? So what is the teaching? The teaching is Ner Hashem, Ner Adam, Nishmat Hashem. Now, deep in our souls, very deep in the crevices of our neshamot, is the light of God, a love of Torah and mitzvot. We only need to kindle it. So if we are looking for elevation, if we are looking for meaning, if we are looking for purpose in life, all we need to do is kindle the light of Torah in our souls. All we need to do. It's that easy. The mitzvah of kindling the menorah was given to Aharon after the princes of the tribes brought their contributions for the dedication and the tabernacle and the Mishkan. The Midrash teaches us that Aharon was distressed, that all the leaders of the tribes were called upon to offer gifts, while his tribe, was not invited to do so. So this should give all of us some sort of pause. Now, in our world, very few people feel deprived or distressed if they were exempt from making a contribution. How often do we feel glad? Oh, glad he didn't ask me for money. He missed me, But we're always, our nature is that we want to be overlooked when it comes to solicitations. But when honor is dispensed, right? When gifts are given, then that's a very different matter. So now let's ask ourselves, when do we feel deprived? Aaron taught us the proper priority. To him, it was not what he possessed that counted, but rather what he was able to give away. My friends, it's not what we have that is ours, it's what we give that belongs to us. Aaron felt deprived when he was not called upon to give his contribution. This message transcends the centuries. It speaks to us loud and clear. It's not what we have, but what we give that is significant. Okay, Aaron, who is filled with love, a loving heart, right? Who is someone who was chosen to be the Kohen Gadol. God assured him that his gift, which was the kindling of the menorah, the Bahaalotecha, would be eternal. To this very day, even the most alienated Jews, no matter how far they are, they light the menorah candle. They light the Chanukiah on Hanukkah. They light the menorah on Hanukkah. Even though he doesn't know what the significance is. Maybe he or she doesn't even know why or the history or the spiritual significance, but they do it. How do you rate yourself on this litmus test? When do you feel deprived? Are you feeling deprived when you're missing out, or are you feeling deprived when you are not put into a position where you can actually give? You want to understand how to fight hatred. You want to understand how to stop anti-Semitism. The way we do this is not by being afraid. It's by being proud and by going out and continuously being a light onto the nations. Continuously going out and thinking about what I can do to give back to the world, how I can make the world a better place around me. Aaron was commanded to kindle the light of the menorah, and telling us that the most effective way to impress upon our children the importance of Torah study and the observance of the mitzvot is by being an example. You want your kids to buy into the stuff that we do as Jews. You want to understand how we got it. It's because we were inspired by a proper role model. It's not what we preach, but what we do that counts. That is how our children will remember us. Our kids will remember us because how they saw us. It's our facial expressions. It's the little nuances when they ask you about, hey, do you want to come with me to Parsha class? Or can you help me with my homework? It's the little face, the micro expressions that you make without even realizing it. That impacts the kids the most. They see it. They're sharp. They see everything. And what they see, unfortunately, for better or for worse, is what they are going to repeat. They're going to walk in our footsteps. And therefore, the more we work on elevating ourselves, the more we work on making these ideals part and parcel of our essence, our being, the more likely, God willing, it'll be there in their lexicon and their drive and desire, their goals. It was through Aaron's dedication and love for the mitzvot, the love for the mitzvah of lighting of the menorah, that he merited the miracle of Hanukkah. And that it would pass through his descendants, and Matisyahu, the son of Yochanan, the high priest, and the entire Hashmonayan family. From this, we learn that the merit of performing a mitzvah with love and devotion has no bounds, and its impact has the power to transcend centuries, my friends. Ask yourselves, what examples are we imparting to our kids? How will future generations remember us? If you don't have kids, you should be asking, when you do have kids, how do you want your kids to perceive you? And if you're not there yet, if you're not able to express that best version of you, my friend, start doing it now. Because God willing, when those kids come, and they will, they're going to remind you very quickly of all of your imperfections. Now, what legacy do you want to leave behind? I believe these are the questions that Aaron asked. These are the questions that our tzaddikim asked themselves, which is why they were so focused on always thinking about how is this story going to be told in the next generation? What would you have done had you known this was going to be recorded and then someone else would read about your life? It's okay not to feel something. It's not okay not to have a vision, a passion that drives you to a place where you're able to achieve what you're meant to achieve in this world. Now, after the instructions that Aaron received to light the menorah, the Pasuk tells us, Vayas ken Aharon, and Aharon did so. Rashi states, tells us that this pasuk, this verse, is praise of Aharon, who fulfilled the commanded exactly as he was instructed. Now, this is very difficult to understand because even a person of lesser stature than Aharon would not have deviated from God's command. So, how much more so Aharon? Why is this a praise for him? Who cares that he did? Big deal. Like, duh, like, yeah, he should have performed God's will. Why is a pasuk telling us that he did it? So, again, this is another, the Torah's way of teaching us another important lesson. It is easy to be enthusiastic when we undertake a new project. It's easy to be excited when you're starting something new, but to keep that enthusiasm going, when the novelty wears off, that's the real test of your character. We all have visions and dreams. We're always facing new challenges and new realities. When we go under the chuppah, right? You're certain that that's going to be the best husband, the best spouse, the best wife you possibly can have. And when you become parents, you're confident that you're going to be the best mother and the best father. And we start a new business, you're confident that you're ready to invest every single penny, all of your energies. But very, very soon, you know what happens? Your dreams begin to fade. The enthusiasm begins to wane. And we become habituated, and we end up becoming somewhat blasé, taking our lives for granted. Aharon, however, was different. Throughout his 39 years of service, he maintained the same enthusiasm as on the day that he first received the command. And that's why it says Vayas Aharon, and he did so. Because it wasn't complacency, right? Complacency is it saps our energy, right? It makes us neglectful of our responsibilities. And this is true when we take our relationships with our spouse, our children for granted, when we become complacent in our business, when we underwrite our own undoing, be it a breakdown of our families or the erosion of our enterprises, the same truth applies in our relation with God. When we become happy in our Torah study, in our prayers, in our observance, when we go down into that downward spiral that too often tragically leads to us being alienated from our belief, our faith, our Torah, and a very, very lonely existence, right? But how do we maintain that early enthusiasm? How do we do that? Each and every time when we commence our studies, when you keep getting onto a Zoom call, right? You listen to a class, you got to strive to view yourself as we stood at Mount Sinai. And what do we declare at Mount Sinai? We said, Na'aseh v'nishma, which can be interpreted, we will fulfill the Torah and study it. If we adapt that attitude, if we adapt the Na'aseh v'nishma, I will fulfill the Torah and study it. If we adopt this attitude, we'll rediscover that there is nothing that can dampen our spirits. There's nothing that could limit our spiritual growth except for ourselves. Now, there's this idea of the second chances that is brought up in the Parsha. Concept of feeling, deprived because of the inability to give is reinforced when the group of men approach Moshe and state that they feel somewhat diminished because they were unable to bring the Pesach offering. Now, this is the greatness of the soul of our forefathers. They agonized over the fact that they were unable to participate in a mitzvah, right? Moses told them that he would have to consult with God to find out if they could actually offer the Pesach offering later. Now, he couldn't give an answer himself. Got to come from God. And this is how Pesach Sheni comes about. God grants us a second chance and teaches mankind that no, even if we miss an opportunity, don't worry about it. There's always going to be a second opportunity. And this is what Pesach Sheni is, right? It was not decreed as all the other holidays because it is one holiday that God did not legislate until the people themselves desired it. It came from mankind. We wanted to celebrate the holiday. God says, here's a holiday, great, take it. But Pesach Sheni came out because of man's desire to go ahead and connect to God. Therefore, our Parsha teaches us that if we feel somewhat diminished because we didn't participate in the service of God, if we agonize over it and we pray that God gives us second chances, you know what happens? He gives us second chances. We always have second chances. It's a lie to think that it's over, game over, end, never again. There's always going to be another opportunity to grow and develop and become bigger. Now, as Jews, we know that there's a mandate for us to emulate God. Even as God is merciful, we have to be merciful. If God is forgiving, we need to be forgiving. If God, if it's something that if God is willing to give us second chances and even allow us to create a holiday to celebrate this concept, then we should not give ourselves and our brothers a opportunity. Should we not give ourselves and our brothers an opportunity for the same second chances, for the same opportunity? Think about our relationships. There are certainly people whom we have written off, but who we should give a second chance to. And if you take a good look at our own personal lives, we're going to discover all kinds of situations in which we have given up in ourselves, in which we're convinced that we lost it and it's too late for us to change. But that's a lie. The Torah teaches us that second chances are always possible. So why shortchange ourselves? Why deny God's miracles, healing gift for a second chance? Pesach Sheni testifies that no matter how far away we may have strayed, no matter what distant road we may have traveled to, God will always accept us if we indicate our yearning to come home. This then is our choice. We can reinvent ourselves, or we can remain mired in our failures. It's all up to us. You choose what you want to do. If you want to understand the key to what this parasha is really expressing, if you go through it on your own, it's such a beautiful parasha. It's long, complicated, going through Moshe's complaint about the Jewish people wanting the quail, Moshe complaining that he doesn't want to take these Jews out of the desert into the land of Israel. He felt like he failed. Moses' greatness is his humility. The thing that gets in the way of our greatness, the thing that gets in the way of us being able to look at anti-Semites in the face and say, no matter what you do, I'm not going away. We're human beings. We're created in the image of God. I'm going to love humanity no matter what they do. I'm not going to allow the Hamas and the PLO's insanity to degrade my morality because I'm bigger than them. I'm more than them. When we recognize that the Torah is about not allowing our emotions to define us, that when we use our intellect, when we have a vision for a greater future, when we build our lives on values like respect, honor, truth, we can make the world a better place. And no matter, even if I'm a hypocrite and I failed in those principles, that shouldn't stop me from trying. In Judaism, success is irrelevant. It's the effort that counts. It's the desire that counts. That's what this pasha is about. Bahaalotecha. You want to know what Bahaalotecha is about? You want to understand what Aaron was going through? He says, I want to live a life of elevation. Elevation means I will try and try again until I get to where I'm going. And this is what our Chachamim say, I believe, and they mean, Yagata matzata tamin, lo yagata lo matzata al tamin. When someone puts in the effort to try to accomplish something, and when he says he accomplished it, we believe him. Do you know why we believe him? Because there is no reality, there is no truth in where a person puts an effort and doesn't accomplish something. But if someone says they put an effort and they failed, we don't believe them. Impossible. There is no scenario where you fail. You always have to put in the effort. Success comes from first showing up. The second stage of success is working hard. The third stage of success is making it easier by having a vision. The fourth stage of success is by never giving up no matter what. When you're that committed to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, Bahaalotecha, not only will you light the candles of the menorah, but you'll illuminate the light of the world. There's no question that the world is filled with darkness. There's no question that there's so much fear that is, settling in the world that we're living in. But if we allow ourselves to be consumed by those things, we'll never accomplish the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is by Yom Hu Echad U'Shmo Echad. On that great day, God and His name will become one. Why? In that day, there will be no more racism. There will be no longer Black Lives Matter. There won't be any of these racial issues. There won't be Palestinians and Jews. There won't be anti-Semitism. It'll be a day where humanity recognizes its final purpose. And that is that we were created in the image of God, and that the world itself is an expression of His deepest desire to give us everything. Look outside your window. Look at the trees. Look at the world is growing. It's beautiful. How can we not see that everything God gives us is a blessing? The question is, are you ready to make it into a blessing for yourselves? May God give you that deep power and ability to recognize that you are a blessing, and that the only thing that's holding you back from accomplishing whatever it is you need to accomplish is yourself. But you have the power of second chances. You can lift up yourself. Just never give up. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom and Barach. We should live in a world of peace and happiness and tranquility. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you all next week. Bezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Rob,
Yeah.
all the best.
You too, my
Thank you,
love.
Rabbi.
Have a good Shabbos. God will speak to you.
Thank you. You too. All the best.
My pleasure, Sophia. Shabbat Shalom.